and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Mafex Batman Hush figure unboxing and review. Today we are taking a look at none other than Superman, aka the Man of Steel. I liked Batman, he wasn't perfect, but yeah, I'm more than just a little excited to get this guy out here. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They do have installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon and join button so you're notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, yeah, I think it looks really good. On one side, an open window showcasing Superman inside. On the other, Batman Hush plus a product shot. On the side, Batman Hush once again, and yes, Superman as well. On the back, a bunch more product shots, and it seems like they turned the saturation way up for these images on the back compared to the actual figure. You also have Batman Hush up top as well. Now, on the inside, we have an absolutely stunning piece of artwork. Unfortunately, it's tucked behind the figure on the inside of the packaging. It's not like you're ever really actually going to be able to see this image, only once when you're unboxing Superman. Now, I've seen the other reviews enough to know that there are two versions of this figure. The first version had some paint flaws and an incorrect S-shield on the back of the cape, so I made sure when picking mine up to pick up the reissue. First in-hand impressions, yeah, they're pretty good, and I can already tell his cape is nowhere near as big as Batman's. What we are going to do now, though, is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, for some reason people really don't like these display bases, and I don't know why. I really like them. They're translucent plastic, you've got multiple points that you can plug the arm into. The arm is multi-jointed, and if you find it a little bit loose, you can always tighten up these screws. There are 4 of them. Up top, you do have a non-spring-loaded friction-fit waist clamp. When it comes to head sculpts, we get 2 of them. One that's a more neutral expression with a subtle frown on the left, and one that's downright pissed off with the heat vision eyes and the gritted teeth. Now, my personal favorite is this one. Now, instead of painting on all the details, they've printed it, so up close, yeah, you can see a little bit of pixelation, but from a normal viewing distance, it's kind of a non-issue. I also like the fact that the S-curl is a separate piece. You can see there's a gap there, and I know, the hair has blue shading. Some people really didn't like the blue shading, but please, go back and check some panels of Hush. The blue shading is accurate. Would I have minded if they toned it down just a little? No, of course not. Superman has black hair, that makes perfect sense. But if that's something that bothers me enough, I can easily fix that. Black paint will do the trick, no problem. Now, the other head sculpt has printed details for the teeth. And once again, a little bit pixelated up close, but when you're looking at it like this, I think they look really good. In Batman Hush, spoilers ahead if you haven't read the book, Superman gets controlled by Poison Ivy with some kryptonite-laced lipstick. Now, I personally probably will never use these, but you have these vines, they're made of rubbery plastic, and the sculpt is just okay. They're relatively soft in terms of the sculpt and the material, as you can see, somewhat flexible. I like the color, and yes, they are fully painted. I thought for sure these were going to be unpainted green plastic, but because they are painted, that means you have to be a little bit more careful when sliding these on his arms and around his neck, because you don't want this green paint rubbing off on the body. Another kind of divisive thing is when companies include accessories for other figures in the same line, mind you, but with another character. For me, I like that. It encourages you to keep collecting the line, so we get an alternative hand for Batsy. It's done in blue to match the blue version of Batman, and as you can see, he's got his kryptonite jewelry. I do like the metallic gold for the ring portion and the metallic green for the kryptonite. Yeah, I have no problem whatsoever if they want to keep including more accessories for other figures with future releases. Lastly, we do get a full array of hands, and they all come on these clear brackets. I like that for a couple of reasons. The first one, it makes it easier to wrangle on camera, not holding some teeny tiny hands. And the second reason, it spaces out the wrist peg port, so it's not going to be too small, it's not going to contract while it's sitting in the box. That means, fingers crossed, they should slide onto the wrist pegs a little easier. I do also like the sculpted fingernails and the paint. It's a matte finish, just like those head sculpts. What we are going to do now, though, is get the Man of Steel himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Going in, I was expecting the best Superman figure ever in the 6-inch scale. Now, that's a lot of hype for one figure, but it lives up to that hype, no problem whatsoever. The proportions are really good. He's got these big, bulky, broad shoulders, a V-taper down to the waist, and the musculature is really nicely sculpted. The paint is stunning, it's quite vibrant where it needs to be, but muted in other areas, and the cape is really good. I was worried because I used words like deplorable, unnecessary, stupid to describe the Batman cape. It was ridiculous. This one is far smaller, it's a lot more manageable, yeah, it's really good. Overall, even though we're pretty early in the video, I can already tell you, I love this figure. Up close and personal, kicking things off with the head sculpt first. I really like it. I wanted to get that out of the way first. It's a really good sculpt. It looks like Soups. Say what you will about the blue hair, for me, it absolutely works here. The neck isn't too long, it's not too short, everything, to my eyes, looks in proportion. Now, if I did have one complaint, it would be this right here. Now, in the book, the cape kind of tucks in around the collar, but here you can see it doesn't do that. It tucks into his pecs, which is kind of funky. Now, if only they'd painted this neck area in skin tone, it might have looked a little bit better. But from the front, yeah, it really does look like the cape is going behind his pecs. As for the other, more angry head sculpt, I don't really love it. It still looks kinda goofy. I don't think the gritted teeth actually works here, and the heat vision is far too subtle. So for me, yeah, I'm probably just going to go with the neutral one in my display. Speaking of my display, some of you all may be wondering, okay Justin, you're not going with the angry head sculpt, but will you be going with Poison Ivy's vines on Soups? And the short answer is no. I think the neck one sits a little bit too high because the cape kind of pushes it up just a little. These ones fit on perfectly and they look really cool, but I bought this for, fingers crossed, the ultimate 6-inch Superman, and in my mind's eye when I picture Soups, I don't really see him covered with a bunch of Poison Ivy's vines. Now, yes, this happened in the book, so it's accurate, it's canon, but yeah, I don't think this is going to make its way, as I said, with the angry head sculpt, into my display. Seeing as though I casually mentioned this already, let's discuss the cape, and I'm pleased to report this is way better than Mafex's Hush Batman. That cape was a disaster. There was so much of it, it was big, it was bulky, it was cumbersome. This is made of the same material. I like the deep rich red, but there is far less of it. The wires are nice and sturdy, so yes, they will hold a pose. And around the back, if you get the corrected reissue version, the shield is accurate. You may be thinking, Justin, what are you talking about? I have the first one and it looks the same as this one. Well, no. Look a little closer. On the reissue, this triangle and this one right here is present, whereas on the original, they simply forgot to print them, which, to tell you the truth, isn't really like Mafex. Usually their attention to detail is spot on, but I guess not everyone is perfect, and that little issue for the first version managed to squeak through at the factory. Now his S shield is really big, it's fully sculpted, and the paint looks pretty clean. The red is slightly desaturated, and the yellow is really desaturated. It's a lot dimmer and duller than I was expecting. I was hoping for a beautiful, rich canary yellow, but As you can see, it almost looks like an eggshell or off-white. At least the belt, their shield, is a little bit more vibrant. Now the blue is stunning. I love the color choice, the musculature is well sculpted, he's big, he's beefy, and there is a ton of dark blue shading in the crevices. Now, unfortunately, it does have a little bit of a plastic sheen, but it's nowhere near as glossy as some of the McFarlane figures, so even though, yeah, it's a little glossy, I'm still pretty happy. That is something I could totally fix myself with a dull coat if it bothered me enough, but it doesn't really, so I'm going to leave him as is. Now his legs are done in the same blue as the upper torso, meaning, yeah, I really like it. There's also shading in the musculature, his trunks match his boots, and the trunks are rubbery, meaning when you flex the legs, they move out of the way for maximum range of motion. Now the boots themselves are fully sculpted, meaning you can feel all the details, it's not just painted. And they've also added this additional flap of plastic on the outside so it looks way cleaner. Whereas on the inside the joint is visible and it gives you more range to tilt the ankles in, because let's be honest, Mafex knows that nobody will really be tilting the ankles out. On the underside, it is completely smooth, unlike Batman, who had fully sculpted treads. For those wondering what Batman looks like wearing the kryptonite ring that comes with Supes, well, here it is, and I think it looks really good. Although it is worth noting that the hand is the darker blue that they've used for the shading, so from certain angles, yeah, the color match is slightly off, but for the most part, I would have no problem whatsoever rocking Batman wearing this jewelry in the display. For a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Mafex Hush Supes on the left and Mafex blue-suited Batman on the right. As you can see, Batman is ever so slightly taller and his cape is huge. I complained a bunch in the Batman review. I won't bog this review down by saying the same stuff I said there, but yeah. There's too much cape, it looks stupid. Whereas with Superman, the cape is much more tamed down, it looks awesome. These two complement each other really well, but now that I've seen this Superman alongside this Batman, yeah, I'm getting even more excited to open up the black suit one. I reckon that one might just be my favorite. This is not quite the black suit one I was talking about, but for size reference, if you are thinking about mixing lines, here we have the DC Multiverse version by McFarlane. He is huge, he's in 7-inch scale rather than 6-inch scale, so no. Long story short, you can't really mix lines here. You can't pop this Superman alongside this Batman. It would look way too goofy. Going over articulation, do bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. Starting off with the head sculpt, it is articulated independently to the neck, looking forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up to there. They will go forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down, swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow that does get you past 90, and of course a hinge and swivel for the wrist peg. The torso does crunch forward a crazy amount, going back an equally crazy amount, swivel and pivot as well. The legs will drop down going forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee, hinge and swivel down here for the ankle, plus, of course, toe articulation. Wrapping up on the Medicom Mafex Batman Hush Superman. Going into this, my hype levels were pretty much through the roof. I was expecting the best 6-inch Superman ever. Did they deliver that? Yeah. I reckon they did. Now, I don't have the breadth of knowledge like some content creators have, and they've looked at every single smaller scale Superman. I've owned quite a few, Mafex, Figuarts, Mezco and otherwise, and yeah, this one, quite easily mind you, is my new favourite. Now, the body is really good. He's ripped, he's proportionate. The only complaint I have is the blue is slightly glossy. Now it depends on your lighting conditions, but at the very least it is shaded in all the right places. The articulation is so incredibly smooth and Yeah, he can pull off some very soups-like poses. He doesn't come with a ton of accessories, but you get the ivy vines from the book, as well as 2 head sculpts, and the ring hand for Batsy. I love when they include bonus accessories like that for other figures in the line. It kind of just rewards you for collecting the line and keeps you going, if you needed a kick to do so. Now, the cape was the one big worry. I was thinking, oh no, it's going to be terrible like Batman. Now, yes, you can work with Batman and get it to look decent, but I didn't want to have to do that, and luckily, I didn't have to. The material is perfect for this scale. It's in scale with the figure itself. The stitching looks good, it's wired, and it's not too big. So in saying all of that, do I recommend him? Oh, hell yes. If you're in the market for a smaller scale Superman, this is it right here. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.